The airline screwed up again. Yes! I fucking love it so much. Well, that was dramatic. Ironically, different airline, different screw up. Even worse than last time. Well, maybe not worse, just different. Worse in a different way. And better in a different way. So, my flight was at 7:10 a.m. So I had to wake up at 3 a.m. in order to get ready to get to the airport in time to have, the typical 3 hours to go through customs and everything to get to your flight. So, get there 3 hours in advance as planned. Everything goes great. Find the proper line, get in line, wait for about 15 minutes. About 15 minutes in, this employee from the airline goes from person to person asking the destination, and depending on the answer, either she's like, all right, stay here, or, oh no, you need to go over there. So she gets to me, she asks my destination, I'm like, San Jose? She's like, oh, you can go to directly to customs. I'm like, okay, cool. So I go to customs, wait in line for a bit, try to go through, and the QR code doesn't work. I'm like, okay. So I asked the woman, she's like, oh, no, you need a physical boarding pass. So I'm like, but the lady over there told me I didn't need to wait in line. She told me to come directly here. She's like, nope, you need a physical boarding pass. I go back, try to find the same woman who told me to go so I can be like, hey, she told me that I need the physical boarding pass. I was already like a quarter or a third of the way through the line. Do I have to go back to the end or can I skip forward? Unfortunately, she was nowhere to be found. So I have no choice. I have to go to the end of the line, start waiting again. And by the time I see the woman again, I'm like halfway through the line. By then, it's pointless. There's no point in asking to like move ahead. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to wait. I have 3 hours. Should be plenty of time anyway. So I wait and wait and wait. And eventually I get there, get my ticket, go to customs. And of course, now there's a huge line at customs. So it takes forever to go through. Eventually I go through. And by the time I go through, it's getting pretty late. In fact, by the time I get to the gate, there's only 12 minutes left before the official departure time. In my head, I'm like, all right, 12 minutes, that's cutting it short, but I'm good. Unfortunately, they already closed everything and they wouldn't let me on the plane. And I'm like, but it's not my fault. I'm not responsible. The airline is the one who screwed up. The airline employee is the one who screwed up, who delayed me by 30 minutes. And because of that, I'm late. She's like, sorry, the gates are closed. There's nothing I can do. She's like, just sit down. So I sit down, wait. Eventually someone comes and me and like four other people who also missed their flight. Not this one, a different flight. Anyway, we're escorted back out of customs and then pretty much released into the wild. Now, before we leave, I asked the guy like, hey, I quickly explained the situation. I'm like, who can I speak to get this figured out and fixed, because it's not my fault. He's like, unfortunately, there's no customer support here at the airport. You're going to have to go on the website. I'm like, well, that sucks, but okay. So I go on the website, find the support, and there's two options. You can either call or you can use the chat. Unfortunately, the chat is a robot and it's completely fucking useless. By the way, sorry, I might swear a lot because I'm annoyed. Actually, I'm not really that annoyed anymore. I'm just relieved to be out of the airport. But anyway, I might be swearing a couple of times throughout this video. So, after figuring out that the chatbot is just a complete waste of time, I'm like, all right, I'm going to give him a call. Try one number, invalid number. Try the second number, invalid number. Try the third number, invalid number. Wow, how original. So I'm like, all right, fine. I'm going to go to the ticket booth where you can buy the tickets and ask like, hey, this is the issue. Can I get help? So that's what I go do. She's like, hey, unfortunately, I can't do anything for you. You're going to have to go over there, the exact same line I was waiting in before, twice, and like get someone over there to help you out. So I go. Luckily, by then the line is very short, but it seems to be taking forever. So I just skip ahead to like a free counter and ask like, hey, I need to speak to like customer support or like a supervisor of some sort. And she's like, yeah, okay, just get back to the line where you were. That's the line. There's that one person who can help you, and they're dealing with everyone, so you just have to get in line and wait. So go in line and wait. Wait for like an hour and a half. Eventually I'm like, all right, this is taking forever. So I'm going to go ask again, just in case. I'll ask again, different person, same answer. Go back, wait in line. Eventually, I have a video chat with my friend because we do lives every like 3 times per week. And today was the day we were supposed to do live. I thought I couldn't do one because I would have my flight, but now I'm like, I got tons of time. So let's have a live. So I had a live on YouTube with Aaron where I was just sitting on the airport floor waiting in line to get my issue resolved. Anyway, so we spoke for a while, and by the time like the airport internet ran out and just disconnected, and we stopped talking, it was about 2 hours in. So once again, I go ask like, "Hey, it's been 2 hours since I've been waiting. I just want to make sure." Yep, okay, still the line. All right, go back to the line. 3 hours in, I'm like, "All right, this is ridiculous. Like like the person who was helping the people in front of me isn't even there anymore. The line isn't moving. Why am I even waiting?" So I once again go talk to a different random person at the counter, explain the situation, and she's like, "Oh, unfortunately, the supervisor isn't here anymore." I'm like, "Okay, I understand that, but I still need help. Can you help me?" "No." "Okay, who can help me?" And then she hands me off to someone else who calls the supervisor on the phone, and the supervisor's like, "Oh, sorry, we can't help him. He needs to go to the ticket counter." I'm like, "No, that's where I was in the beginning. That person told me they couldn't help me, and they sent me here, and I've been waiting for 3 hours." She's like, "Unfortunately, that's what my supervisor is saying. There's nothing I can do for you." So I'm like, "Great, I just wasted the last fucking 3 hours of my life." So I go back to the other counter, explain the situation once again. I don't really know at that point if it's the same girl that I spoke to in the beginning who told me to go to the other place, just because I've spoken to so many people by then that I've lost track of who's who. But I'm pretty sure it's the same girl. So anyway, explain the situation, and she pretty much tells me there's nothing they can do, that it's my responsibility as the client to be on time. I'm like, "Yes, I understand that, but I was on time. It's your employee from your company who misdirected me, made me waste 30 minutes, and because of that, I was late and missed the flight." So anyway, after back and forth a couple times, she's like, "Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do for you. All you can do is contact support." I'm like, "I already tried that. The phone numbers didn't work." They were like, "All right, here's the phone number. Contact them on WhatsApp." So I'm like, "All right, take the phone number, go find a place to sit down, contact them on WhatsApp." It's the same fucking useless bot as on the website. So after trying a couple times and realizing this is a complete waste of time, I go back to the counter and say, "All right, is I tried the chatbot, it didn't work. I realized there's nothing you can do for me. So is there any way that I can speak to your supervisor? Someone who's in charge, someone who can help me?" She's like, "Yeah, okay. Go to the second floor, office 305, and the airline supervisor is there. Speak to her." So I'm like, "All right, go there." There's like 3, 4 other people waiting, so I wait my turn. It takes a while. It takes a good 15 minutes for the supervisor to come out. Speaks to the first person, speaks to the second person, third person. It's my turn. She's like, "Just give me a moment. I'll be right back." 25 minutes go by, doesn't come back. I finally asked someone who's going like, "Hey, I need to speak to the supervisor. Can you just let her know I'm here?" So eventually she comes out, helps another person ahead of me, of course, because, this is just a fucking day I'm having. And eventually she gets to me. I explain the situation. Once again, she tries to say, "There's nothing I can do for you. It's your responsibility." I'm like, "Nope, it's your responsibility. Your employee, your company is responsible. You need to take care of this." She's like, "All right, I need to go check with the floor supervisor. I'll be right back." 15 minutes go by, nothing. 20 minutes, nothing. Half an hour, nothing. I ask a person, and they're like, "Yeah, sure, I'll let him know that you're here." Or I'll let her know that you're here. 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes go by, still nothing. It's been like an hour since I spoke to her last. Ask a couple more people, it's completely pointless. Luckily, at some point, there's another guy who was among the first 3 people that the supervisor helped that came back for some reason because he still needed help. And he spoke some English. So the person he was dealing with, he's like, "Hey, this guy's been here like waiting for like 6 hours and they still haven't taken care of him. Like, can you please help him?" So I'm really, really grateful for that guy to like be able to help me out and translate because in English or in French, I'm a very good communicator. I can be persuasive and I can explain and show my point of view. In Spanish, I need to use Google Translate. It's like very simple. It's like, here are the facts. It's like, I can't convince anyone of anything. So I'm really glad that guy was there. So eventually, like, back and forth a bunch of more times, only to discover, oh, the supervisor is no longer here for the day. So she's like, oh, yeah, sure, I need to go check. Let me be back. She doesn't come back for like an hour. In my head, I'm like, all right, she went to lunch or something. No, she literally ended her shift and just left and forgot about me. I'm like, really? Like, fuck you. Just fuck you. So anyway, that woman ends up like going back and forth a bit, helping me, helping the other guy, and eventually she's like, "All right, I can offer you a flight on Saturday." I'm like, "Can you do any sooner, like today or tomorrow?" She's like, "No, the soonest I can do is Saturday." And I'm like, "Okay." And that's when I find out that the floor supervisor is gone, and she's like, "Hey, the supervisor is gone. So technically, I'm not really supposed to do this. It's not my decision. I just did it because you've been here for so long and everything." So I'm like, all right, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm going to take it. And I got all the information. So everything's supposedly handled because I didn't get like a ticket or anything. She's like, oh, she's going to be the same confirmation number as the first ticket. So there's a slight chance that I'm going to show up at the airport on Saturday, give them the number, and they're going to be like, nope, that's not valid. Sorry, and I'm gonna have to deal with this whole bullshit again. So anyway, I ended up spending 6.5 hours trying to get this issue resolved, dealing with at least a dozen people, having the airline basically have the strategy of let's just ignore him and pretend like he doesn't exist and hopefully he's gonna go away. It didn't work. Eventually I got my flight. But I'm like, okay, I deserve some sort of compensation. So it's like, not only did you make me miss my flight, you made me waste 6.5 hours of my life, sent me back and forth a bunch of times, ignored me, disrespected me. And also, there's a chance that I won't be able to cancel my reservation in San Jose, so I'm going to have to pay extra for that. There's the taxi fare back in there and back. There's the fact that I have to rent an apartment for 3 more days while I'm here. So it's like, I'm definitely going to go on the website and file an official complaint and be like, hey, you bitches owe me. And, as I mentioned, I might be swearing a couple of times. So I'm definitely going to do that in the future. But right now, I don't want to deal with any of that. Also, what I want to do is I'm assuming there's some sort of agency that regulates airlines. Because if I complain to the airline, they can just be like, yeah, whatever, we're going to ignore your complaint. If I go to whatever agency regulates the airlines and file an official complaint against the airline, that's going to have probably way better results. Not necessarily results as in like, oh, I'm going to get compensation, but results in the sense of like, they're going to be held accountable for what they're doing. And yeah, so finally I managed to find an apartment. I was able to contact the same people I was renting the Airbnb from, and they had another apartment available, which is where I am right now recording this video. So I'm finally able to relax, well, almost able to relax because I finished all my food and got rid of whatever I had left over because I was supposed to fly out this morning. Turns out I'm not, so now it's like I gotta go buy more food for 3 days and spend even more money. And of course, I don't have any cash because when I was at the airport, I switched everything to US dollars so I could convert to local currency when I get over there. So, yeah, very crappy day so far. I don't know what it is about airlines. There's just an issue, and every time it's like it's not my fault. I did absolutely nothing wrong, but I get screwed over every time. Last time it ended up costing me like double the cost of the flight for like all the other expenses of like taxi and like all that stuff. This time it's like, all right, I got a replacement flight, but I wasted so much time, and now I got to spend more money on reservations that I'm probably not going to use, reservations here, extra food and stuff like that. And it's just, and taxi there and back. So it's like every time even if I get like compensation or like replacement flight, I still end up getting screwed. So this is very frustrating. It just feels like there's nothing I can do. Like next time, I'm just going to show up 4 hours earlier instead of 3 hours. But at the end of the day, if they screw up again, I'm still screwed. And I guess that's the beauty of being an airline. They can do whatever the hell they want, and us little people have absolutely no power. So the moral of this story is airlines suck. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Airlines suck. I should probably swear. I don't think I could, but maybe I should take a boat. Although I did get the other flight, so it would be dumb to do that. But yeah, maybe I should start swimming and taking boats places instead of taking flights. Anyway, that was my crappy airline story for the day. Hope you enjoyed it, because I did not. I tried to stop the video and trying to look at the camera rather than where I was pressing, and I missed it. Guess that's what happens when you try to be professional. What am I talking about? I'm lying in a bed, swearing like a little bitch, complaining about an airline. Like, yeah, okay, I'm not a professional. Far from it.